This article was last comprehensively updated in September 2007. Please feel free to update it if need be. Uruguay is the only country in Latin America that has achieved quasi-universal coverage of access to safe drinking water supply and adequate sanitation. Water service quality is considered good, with practically all localities in Uruguay receiving disinfected water on a continuous basis. 70% of wastewater collected by the national utility was treated. Given these achievements, the government's priority is to improve the efficiency of services and to expand access to sewerage, where appropriate, in areas where on-site sanitation is used. Access, water and sanitation coverage and Uruguay source WHO UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program. Data for water and sanitation based on the WHO World Health Survey. Water use. Per capita water production is high at 411 litre capita per day. Even after taking into account non-revenue water of 54% at 183 litre capita per day, it is still higher than in many European countries. However, water use is much lower than in neighboring Argentina, where metering is not widespread, while in Uruguay 96% of water connections were metered in 2004. History and recent developments. Like many other developing countries, Uruguay sought private sector participation in water supply and sanitation to improve efficiency and service quality. This was done through 2 concessions for secondary cities in the department of Maldonado, home to many tourist resorts, and the town Punta del Este. The first concession was granted in 1993 to Aguas de la Costa, a Uruguayan firm which later became majority-owned by Aguas de Barcelona, itself a subsidiary of the French firm Suez. The second concession was granted in 2000 to Reisio, a subsidiary of Aguas de Bilbao of Spain. To complement the policy of private sector participation, the government created in 2002 the Utility Regulatory Agency (URSEA) covering the power and water sector. Nevertheless, the private concessions remained contentious, following a vigorous campaign against them and allegations of overcharging and poor service quality. Parliament passed a constitutional amendment in October 2004 prohibiting any form of private sector participation in the water sector. As a result, the concession of Reisio was withdrawn in the same year. In 2005, the government passed Law 17.930 with the objective of improving the effective participation of users and civil society in planning, management and control of activities in the sector. For that purpose, the law established a Water and Sanitation Directorate in the Ministry of Housing and Environment, as well as a Water and Sanitation Advisory Commission. Meanwhile, the Uruguayan and foreign owners of Aguas de la Costa refused to yield to demands for nationalization. In 2006, the government bought their shares held by Aguas de Barcelona. From then on, the enterprise operated as a mixed public-private enterprise with a majority public shareholding. In 2009, the company became 100% owned by the state. Responsibility for water supply and sanitation. The state-owned national utility, Administración de las Obras Sanitarias del Estado, provides water and sewer services to all of Uruguay with the exception of Montevideo, where the municipality provides sewerage and OS provides water services only. OS serves 330 localities with 2.8 million inhabitants with water services and 152 localities with 0.5 million inhabitants with sewer services. It had 4,362 employees in 2004. To enhance sector performance, new institutions have been recently established, including the Regulatory Entity for Energy and Water, the National Directorate of Water and Sanitation in the Ministry of Housing, Land Management Employment and Environment, responsible for creating national sector policies on WSS, and the Advisory Commission on Water and Sanitation. The government of Uruguay intends to establish a comprehensive legal and regulatory framework for the water supply and sanitation sector through a new law. It also plans to develop a policy on appropriate sanitation standards and to further improve the efficiency of those by stimulating internal competition and reducing unaccounted-for water. Concerning internal competition, OS has introduced an internal benchmarking system comparing the utilities' performance across 21 cities based on 9 service quality indicators. Economic efficiency. Between 1999 and 2005, OS successfully increased labor productivity from 5.6 employees, 1,000 connections to 4.5, decreased operating costs from 98 cents per cubic meter to 71 cents per cubic meter, and increased operating margins from 35% to 42%. However, OSE's performance continues to present areas of inefficiency, reducing unaccounted-for water, which remains around 54%, will continue to require a concerted effort. Financial aspects. Tariffs and affordability. Water and sewer tariffs charged by OS differ depending on the category of users, with lower tariffs for residential users than for other users. Water and sewer tariffs in Uruguay have increased substantially since 1995. For example, a typical residential water bill for OS consumers increased from the equivalent of 56 pesos per month in 1995 to 207 pesos per month in 2001, a 93% increase in US dollar terms in 6 years. Tariffs were further increased so that a typical residential bill reached 431 pesos per month in 2003. But due to the massive devaluation of 2001, the US dollar equivalent of the monthly bill decreased to $15 per month. In 2007, a monthly residential water bill was estimated to be at least 568 pesos, equivalent to more than $22 per month. Given that the average monthly income of a household in the 2 lowest income quintiles was about the equivalent of $190 in 2003, water and sewer tariffs accounted for almost 8% of their income, an extraordinarily high percentage, which has probably further increased since then. Despite the very high levels, these tariffs are not subject to much public protest or complaints. Investments and financing. The National Water and Sewer Company Administración de las Obras Sanitarias del Estado, created in 1952, does not receive direct subsidies from the government. OS finances its investments from internal revenues and loans. However, OSE's financial health had been in decline during the 1990s and early 2000s due to high levels of operational inefficiency, thereby threatening OSE's ability to carry out future required investments. OSE's operating performance and financial health have since begun improving. The total expenditure of OS between 1990 and 2005 was $797 million, which is on annual average 0.24% of the Uruguayan GDP of $15.30 per capita. The annual investment was highest at the end of the 1990s, reaching $30.80 in 1996 and $31.20 per capita in 1999. Since 2001, it fell back to only $5.10 per capita in 2003. The average annual investment per capita between 1997 and 2003 was higher than in other Latin American countries like Argentina, Peru, Colombia and Mexico.